Hey guys, this is Jenna with Hill Valley Farm, and today we're going to give you an update of what has been going on, and it is a kind of a long one, so let's get started. So on May 12th, 2024, Faylene, laying here napping and looking like she's so proud of herself, did go into labor, even though I checked her before I left the house. And did have a single doeling. This is the doeling that you see behind her. she's sleeping, or not really sleeping. She's laying down with her mother. So that was very uneventful. The doe weighed 4 pounds 8 ounces. So she's a pretty good sized doe. I was certain we at least had twins in there, but we did not. So Faylene and I have had a discussion over groceries versus kids being on the right side of her belly. So, I don't really think she's listening to me though. So the doeling is absolutely beautiful. She's buckskin with moon spots. I'll get a better image of her here in just a second. I also want to point your attention to this one. She's being incredibly sweet, so I think we are finally close to labor. This is Moon, who is also Elfwin's daughter, who Elfwin wants my attention too. Moon is beautiful. She is out of the lovely Corey's Fancy Tea Elfwin here, and Vista Oaks Rocket. So this is my last doe out of Rocket here on the farm that has not freshened. So I'm excited to have yet again another Rocket daughter on my milk stand. Very, very, very excited about Moon. I have loved this girl ever since the day she was born. And she is well over 2 years old. So it took a little bit to get her bred and for it to stick. But it finally did. So, I should also add, here at my feet is this beautiful little girl, doeling. I don't know if you can see her very well. This is Clover. Actually, Hill Valley 4, the number 4, leaf clover. She is super friendly, just like Elfwin is being, but she's being crowded, so she might skedaddle off. She's beautiful. She's actually out of Risky. Risky ended up going into a premature labor an entire week early. And she was due May 26th. She went into labor, which was a Sunday, the Sunday before, which was, anyways, I don't remember the date. But it was an entire week before, and that was pretty scary because the last thing that develops is lungs. So I knew she was in labor. I did give her a shot of dexamethasone in hopes of it transferring through the placenta. Let's see how friendly she is. And I don't really know if it did or not, because about 12 hours later, or a little less, this little girl was born. And then following her was her dead brother. And so we think that the death of her brother is what caused the premature labor. Obviously, we do not know why he would have died. But she is a strong little thing. She was 3 pounds when she was born. And you can clearly see she is not lacking in any skills whatsoever when it comes to goats. No lacking of skills. And so she has doubled her birth weight in 2 weeks. So she is a little over 6 pounds now. And here's Risky. She's so sweet. Yes, she is. She's beautiful. And so she is out of Vista Oaks Risky Business, 1-star M. Risky has her milk star in all 3 categories. She achieved that last year. And her sire is Cedar View Excalibur Star B. She is she is incredible. She's beautiful, long, and very dairy. Already you can see the dairiness. And she has a really nice rump structure. I really like this little girl. And you know that old saying, you can't keep them all. So we actually had someone on reservation, and you know what? They wanted her really bad. And typically this is one I would retain in the herd, but I'm letting her go. And so she is actually sold to a really wonderful family, but she's not going alone. She is going to be with one of Sheila's little does and one of the Weathers. And so they will all 3 be together, and we love it when that can happen. And so, oh, don't hit her. The kids can be cruel to each other, even as babies. There you go, baby. So anyways, but yeah, she's with mama now. But so it's okay, because you know this year it's been good, but there's just been, you know, some bucks here and there, or singles here and there. And you know, when you have singles, or you know, you lose a buck in a breeding, it can actually, you know, it hurts you financially. So it needed to be done, and so it's okay that we sold her. We actually have more that are for sale, but it's a process, and so we're just kind of going through it here. So that was Risky. So Risky kidded prematurely. The doeling did not have teeth. That's another sign of being premature. So we did give her a shot of Dex. I hate giving little babies shots, but we felt like it was necessary and needed, because I heard so many horror stories that they will be just fine the first week of being out, you know, living, but then they crash because their lungs just can't keep up. So we decided to do that with her. I'm going to stand up because it's getting ridiculous. So anyways, that is Hill Valley 4-leaf clover. Oh, and you can see Faylene's little doe here. And there she is. She is stunning. Absolutely stunning. Very happy to have her with us. She is retained. Kaden is obviously keeping her. You can see her length right here. I mean, she's stunning. So and then sister is very, very jealous. This is Betty. Now, so that was that. So Faylene wrapped up our part 2 of kidding season that day. And then Risky started our part 3 a week early. And now we'll go somewhere else to show you guys some other new ones. On a side note, this is Hill Valley Ventress. She's out of Alice and X. And she reminds me so much of Lily, it's not even funny. You don't ever have a solid Nigerian, but she is solid black, brown eyes, and she has the personality of her granddam, which is Rolling Meadows BB Godiva. And it's very odd. But I am in love with this little girl. And she's so sweet. Yes, you are. And you know it. So this is Hill Valley Calico Legend with her twins. This is the little buck, and that's the little doe. And they are so cute. He is a stunner. She is just lovely in her own right. And I'm trying to get him to turn around and look at us. They are out of, like I said, Hill Valley Calico Legend and Hill Valley Struck Gold, which is Faylene's son. Well, hey. And so that's the little boy, that's the little girl. They were actually born at 141 days. Now, a gestation period for a goat is 145 to 155 days. For us, we typically live in the 147-day range. That's really the average. This year seems to be a lot different, with a few earlier than normal, especially this one. This is the doe. Isn't she lovely? Got some roning on her black cape there. So anyways, because of that, I've really been watching them. I have friends that have does that kid at 141 days, no problem. We did hear some rattling in her. She was actually breech. And so when I heard rattling in the chest, I thought, uh-oh. So I did get ahead of that and gave her some medicine. And she seems to be getting better. Every now and then I hear it. But, as you can see, she's good. No fever, nothing like that. And he is doing really well as well. They're very clumsy. There are no goats in this area right now just because we're letting this field rest. So I just have them out here for now. She's normally in a kidding pen. But I have them out here now so you can see them in the daylight. Because I wanted you to be able to get the full effect of how really pretty they are. He has the spot on his nose is chocolate. So it's a chocolate nose. It's the coolest thing. But these are the first kids out of Hill Valley Struck Gold, which is Faylene's son. Caden's really excited about that. He is retaining the little doe, and her name will be Hill Valley G. Marsala. He decided to keep going with the Italian theme that he had with Tuscany because Callie is out of Tuscany. And it works really well. So we're calling her Marsala, and she is just so cute and really pretty and correct. Oh, she's gonna lay down. But yeah, they're really little. I say really little. They are, but they're not super tiny like Ellie. They were born right at 3 pounds, 2 ounces, something like that. And they've gained, he's right at 4 now, and she is at 3 pounds, 14 ounces. So that's normal. The buck normally grows faster because he drinks more. That's just what bucks do. And she's a little bit smaller, so that's just going to be her. He is really kind of full of it. It's so funny. Oh, there she goes. So they like to play with each other and run. It's so much fun when there's two, at least two. It's kind of sad when the singles like Clover, and they don't have anyone to play with for a little while. But then they do, and it gets really fun. Now, so this was, she ended up kidding on May 30th, which was Thursday. And she wasn't due until, I think today, June 3rd. So, that's Callie. But we're excited to have her in milk. Really excited about her genetics. Her sire's birth sister just finished at the age of 2 years old, and that is very exciting. It's the longest running champion line in ADGA history that we know of, and she's the 9th, his birth sister, not Callie. So yeah, that's incredible. She's owned by Evie's Hilltop Blessings. Jasmine is her name, her barn name. So I would say her full registered name, but I'm afraid I will botch it. So we all call her Jasmine. You could look her up. But anyway, so that's exciting. I really, really like Callie. Even as a first freshener, you got to understand she's a yearling. So for a first freshener yearling to have the depth that she has of body already, she also is giving a tremendous amount of milk overflow because I strip her out morning and night, and they are gaining weight in leaps and bounds. So she is producing way more than they need. So that is very, very good. She's eating hay through the wall. I love it. So anyways, that is Callie. So we've been to a couple shows this year so far. Both were in May, and they were great. I will tell you guys a little bit about them here in a little bit. But with the show season and with the weather, temperature swings, rain, comes respiratory illness, and that's what some of what we've had going on here. We are not the only herd. We've had heard of neighboring herds. Some were before shows and some were after that have been going through this, and we sadly did not miss out on it. It is mainly the younger goats, like yearling and younger. And so 2 of those yearlings are Callie, who had literally came down with it the day she freshened, and Butterfinger. And Butterfinger was actually the first one that we noticed. And then from then on out, it has been some of the early May kids, a couple of the junior kids that were born in February. And, you know, we've just been doing a lot of supportive care and just watching them. And by that, I mean vitamins, taking their temperature, you know, vitamins, more vitamins. And it seems to work, except for when they start running the fevers. That's when you pretty much have to take action. And so we have a really good relationship with our vet that, you know, she knows what I need to have on hand and she prescribes it. She knows I'm not going to overdo it because I don't. I really like to I'm one of these that likes to wait and see and watch. But when you and do the supportive care, but when you see the temperature and it's just not going away with an anti-inflammatory, you have to take some action. And then when you see it works, you know you're on the right track. And so luckily for us, we've never been one of these people that have to give an antibiotic more than once, like if it's for respiratory. And so fortunately that has continued with this time. And fortunately it doesn't happen very often here. But when it does, you have to respond or you'll lose goats. And that's the last thing we want to do. So right now everyone's fine. We've been watching everyone. They've been doing really well, you know, but it is extra work. So it's more cleaning, it's more scrubbing, it's more disinfecting, you know, because you don't want your milkers on the stand eating out of the bowl that the other milker just ate out of, who is sick and has a fever, you know. So you have to do that. Also with that, you know, we're very careful about our milkers and using antibiotics. We don't. So we have a withdrawal period for milk. And so we will dump that milk. We don't use it. And fortunately, it's just the 2. But still, again, that's more work. You can't just hook up the milk machine and let the milk flow. You have to actually do some work to separate it and make sure that nothing, you know, that milk doesn't ever get used. And so we're just very, very mindful of that. So that's a little snippet into the real life world of dairy goat owning. But like I said, they're doing well. It's not been bad the last week or so in the way of weather. It's been pretty nice, kind of chilly in the evenings, but it's okay. It's when it gets super humid and then it rains and then humidity and rain, you know, then that's the other thing. That's the other side of them getting sick is parasites. So you also have to watch that. Fortunately, this is why we are rotationally grazing. So we don't have goats on this side where I am right now. We have them over on this side. And this is, so they moved over here on Saturday, which was June 1st. And they will be over on this side for 30 days. And then they will be back over here for 30 days. And so this is how we rotationally graze them. And the idea is a parasite is pretty much, without their host, they will die within, I think it's 3 weeks. And so, but we do the extra 4th week just in case. Now, they sleep in the same stalls that they're in when they're over here and over there. But we have been also very mindful of just scraping the top layer and replacing it. whenever we move them over. And so that's just something that we've added into part of our management. And it seems to be going well, but obviously we're only in June. Talk to me in November and let's see how this worked out. Because my biggest thing is, we had the barber pole kind of hit us last year, and we don't want that again, or at least we want to be able to be ahead of the game. And another thing that we're doing, I used to be really good about doing copper bolusing every 6 months. It wasn't for a lack of anything else. It's just time would get away from me, and I slacked off on that. And so now I've started back. So in March, we copper bolused the herd. And then in 6 months from March, we'll do that again. And so and I like that, because that's when we start thinking about like start breeding for the year. It's September, so I like being able to copper bolus around that time too, because it allows me to really like get my hands on every single one of them and really spend some time with them. Because when you have, and we don't even have really high numbers, but when you get higher numbers, it's harder to get your hands on them all the time, and it's easier to miss something. And so that's the last thing we want to do. So that's it on the respiratory thing. It's not fun. It is more work, but it's only been a few days and we're almost through it. So it's not that big of a deal, as long as everyone's well, and they are. I don't know why we're fighting out there. I don't know what's going on. There should not be any herd shuffling today, because that typically happens when you take a doe and she's freshened and you put her back out with the herd and they fight. So I don't know, for whatever reason, Faylene is having a big issue with Isabella. I don't know what Isabella did. Clearly she did something. And then there's, of course, your followers that are like, oh, let me get in on this action. So I don't know what we're doing, but that's what's going on there. May 17th, 2024 was the beginning of our show season at Putnam County Fairgrounds. It was the Southern Belle Showdown. So there was Caden getting ready for showmanship with Butter. This is Caden with the judge, Cameron Judlowski, during showmanship, and he is in the senior showmanship class, by the way. His friend Evie ended up winning the senior showmanship, which was very exciting. We were very happy for her. I love this picture because it shows off Butter's udder. And they also, following showmanship, had a youth show. So this was during the youth show. All of our goats placed really well. We did not get any rosettes in the youth show, but that's totally fine. It was a lot of fun. We absolutely loved doing the youth shows. And this is Betty with Caden on Friday night. Now, Saturday, May 18th, was the open show. And this is the grand champion lineup in the juniors, the Friday night before. So this is Saturday, the next day in the open show. Hill Valley Butterfly Effect, 1-star M, won her every class, and ended up winning reserve champion in one of the rings. And then the highlight of the entire weekend was Hill Valley You Wanna Bet winning her dry leg as a dry yearling. And Betty comes out of Cade's Little Farm SE Faylene, 1-star M. And then in the same ring that Betty won grand, our little Puff, Vista Oaks Cream Puff, won reserve champion. So that was super exciting. It was really fun to win together with two different does. And it was just a lot of fun. So here's us with the judge, Cameron Judlowski. And it was a 3-ring show in the open show. It was, like I said, really, really fun. That show is always very well run. Of course, my friend Rachel Burchett runs that with her friend Hannah. And our friend Hannah, too. We love Hannah. Here is the obligatory dash photo after the show, showing off our rosettes. And next up was the 2024 SMDGA Summer Classic at Roane State Expo Center. This year we moved the show that we normally have in July to May, and also to a different venue. And this venue is absolutely, hands down, the best venue we have ever showed in. anywhere. And so we were so happy to be here. The show ran so smoothly, and I took a picture of the sponsor banner again. We're just so grateful for these sponsors. Because I was running the show, Caden was in charge of the herd. So he had his little list of juniors and what ages they were. He was in charge of getting them to and from the arena. He was in charge of the milking, the milk outs, the kids, everything during the show, and he handled it so beautifully. I was so proud of him. The next day, we had a costume contest with the youth. Of course, Caden is in his USA attire, and then a showmanship class. Here's Evie and Caden waiting on senior showmanship to begin. And Caden ended up winning the senior showmanship during the showmanship youth everything. And so that was really fun. Then in the youth show, Vista Oaks, that's what she said, won a grand champion and turns around and won best in show in the youth show. So we were very, very happy about that. Now, this was actually Sheila's third leg. However, the numbers didn't meet sanction, so it doesn't count for Sheila, but that's okay. That just means we get to keep showing her. So here is our picture with the banner and our rosettes for the weekend. And then, of course, the obligatory dash photo with the rosettes at the end. All in all, it was a fantastic show. Yes, I did run it, so I'm there pictured to the left with Alice. She's the only doe I showed of our herd, and then I helped others show as well.